Welcome to Confessions of an SEO. This is Carolyn Holzman. As you know, this is where we talk about the business end of SEO, the people side. I've been on both. I've been a business owner of over 20 years and now an SEO. So the short version about why this podcast is a thing is if you're an SEO, this is all for you. If you're a business owner, this is my effort to help you understand how to hold an SEO accountable, how to have a better idea of what's in their control and what's not, so you can evaluate results in an informed way and keep the good SEO you hired. This is episode 51. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's only 2 more confession sessions in 2021. Now the survey's still open. If you don't know about it, it's going to be an annual survey. This is the first year. Started out because I wasn't sure if we were going to have a season 2. And guess what? We are. I know that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I still need you to take the survey. That's only one question on there. The other one gives me a better idea of what kind of content you'd like me to cover. What kind of stories do you want? And where your interests are, because I think by working together, we can have a really great season 2. Now, topic for today is, well, if you're taking bets or you saw SEO Fight Club this week, you know it's going to be about indexation. Okay. Well, first off, I thought, I do feel a little guilty about choosing this now. It's kind of the topic for second week in a row, but there's been so much new data coming out that I just thought kind of do another little roundup of all the recent things. So there were a couple. There was things that came out of the research project that I'm working on. Regular listeners know. I call it the Google Index Detector. You can search for that. It's the first result. And you'll find a page and there's a frequently asked questions about it, but it's basically a daily test project to see how the process is working with Google on the process of indexation, which is primarily how content that's not already in Google, how does it get it in there? Okay. That's the layman's version. SEOs know it's a little more complicated than that. But so basically there was the data from the index detector. There was a field observation of something that happened, and a lot of people got emails from the Search Console. And then there was an announcement in late November. So I'll go through each one of those real quick, and then we'll talk about what now. Basically, with the index detection project, we can now determine if Google is doing just a crawl or a full render crawl. Those are 2 things. The difference being the first one is a sort of like a drive-by, like, hey, we're here, bye. And the other one is where they actually pick up the pieces of your page. So they come by, they have coffee and coffee cake, and then they pack up what they didn't eat while they were there and take it home with them. So there's an update, or I should say a refinement of the data now. So when you check out the page, you'll see not just is Google indexing, you'll be able to tell was today a full crawl or not. And you have to have a full crawl in order to get indexation. That's sort of like, the little secret there. So all that BS that you've heard that your content isn't quality enough to get indexed is just that. If they're not coming and doing a full render, you could have the most glorious article there and it wouldn't matter because it's a mechanical process. Human beings have brains and read things and go like, oh, I think this one's better written than this one. There is no way that, in terms of like extremes, that Google does that. Could they? Probably. But it would cost so much. And we have to remember at all times, Google is a business. It is not your best friend. It is a business. All right. So that's the first thing, new data from the research. Now, the other thing that happened was a lot of people got emails from Google Search Console saying that they had a problem, that the bot had a problem with the redirect and fix it. Well, there was no problem with redirects. So a lot of people got all up in arms and reached out and basically was told, oh, we're looking into it. Now, interestingly enough, that happened on the 12th. On the 13th, it was like a bot wasteland. Every single site I had access to, and I have access to a lot, no bot activity. No fresh bot activity, no refresh bot activity. So they were gone. So that was kind of interesting. It was like they flipped a switch. All right. Then the third thing was an announcement from late November that kind of went, I think, underneath the radar. But Google basically has been wanting to, they call it their mobile first indexing initiative. What this basically means is that they wanted to, because you think about it, if they keep a mobile version of your page and a desktop version of your page times however many pages that are currently in Google, there's a lot, they could reduce by half what they were hanging on to. Yeah. So anyway, this mobile first indexing, they have taken the deadline off of it, which basically sounds to me like they're not giving up on it, but the end of the year was coming and they had a lot of things to do. So by taking the date off of it, the deadline off of it, then people will stop asking about it. So what does all that mean? I see meaning in it, in that basically it sounds like what we've been saying for a while is that Google is broken. Now, what's broken at Google is that it's kind of like the very first thing that everybody looks at are those bots. So the thing is we can only see from our side, right? We can't see from Google's side, and Google isn't telling us. But basically, it's either a bot problem, a bot crawl problem, or it's a scale problem. That if they let the bots go out and crawl everything that they're supposed to and bring everything back, they don't have any more space to put it or desire to do so. And so the idea being is that what if this is a scale problem? So they've got so much data, not just, obviously the amount of web content, but all the other data about that web content, right? And so what if that's it? And what if Google told us? Well, first off, I don't think it's going to happen. Google is not going to come out and say, oh, we know we're broken, but we're fixing it. Not going to do that. You got stock things to consider. You've got, although I will tell you, remember last week, in third quarter, their search outperformed every other division by $11 billion. So they're not going to tell anybody. And users aren't necessarily going to wake up overnight and see that basically they're not seeing everything, right? The people that are complaining are those that are trying to publish. Everybody else, it looks like nothing is happening. So we've got, humans, we've got stock, and the fact that, I think the thing that really sort of chafes at me is that Google skates by. They do all this stuff and they do it, they're the only game in town, so we don't even know that they do it well. They may do it well, but they may not. But, for so many years, the goodwill that they gathered when, in the old days, Google's tagline was "Do no evil." Now, those were their words, and they decided to chunk them. It's no longer in anything, and so I think they really think it doesn't matter, that they don't have to tell us anything, and this kind of discussion, I think, only brings up more questions, because is it healthy to consider a business life beyond Google? For a while now, Ted Gubitis, who I mention often because he has so many cool insights and things, and he understands Google at a nut and bolts, search engines and all of that, the nuts and bolts of how it all works. And when he says something at first, it sounds like search engine science fiction. So he's been predicting for a while that Google will get so insane on its never-ending updates to make sure basically that no one other than Google makes any real money off their search engine. And Bing and the other search engines will get prettier and prettier by the week. Sort of like Google is the dog in the manger. Nobody eats if they don't get it all. Now, meanwhile, what is a business to do? And I think there's so much going on. And these are very troubled waters that, honestly, I think the smartest move is to, at the very least, hand over the reins to an SEO. Let them deal with the online. Don't try and do it yourself. And put your energy and your creativity in other areas. Diversify, if necessary, from Google, because you may have to. Now, I don't mean it to be like dystopian or anything like that, but it makes sense if Google is to stay in the search business versus the curated results business, where they have excluded new content for whatever reason. They're going to have to fix it. I mean, at some point, they fix it, or they've sort of created their end, right? So in the meantime, as an SEO, we have to look at the value we bring to the table today, to that meeting, and in short, to a business's entire operation. Are we perfect as an industry? Not at all. And with all due respect, despite having said that, I have not met one business owner, not one, who understands search as fully as the worst performing intermediate level SEO. Can they find a hack? Can they use a hack? Sure. And they work until they stop, and then they're stuck. So you really need somebody who knows what they're doing. You have to let that be true. Now, if ever businesses needed a real SEO, they need one now. Someone that will know their site fully and guide them through these rough waters and help them take advantage of what they can in this environment when Google behaves like it's broken but refuses to admit they have a problem. It's nothing less than irresponsible to perpetrate the myth that Google as an organization is looking out for our best interest as businesses and therefore must be trusted as the ultimate source. Which, of course, do we have an alternative to Google? Not right now. But seriously, they are making the case to focus elsewhere. Bing has its own quirks, but I'd look to put a little more effort into Bing knowing what I know, which means knowing what I see. Must we grin and bear it? Probably. But I do feel that we should not let Google beat us up by telling us that we are the problem because we don't understand the great and powerful Oz/Google. Therefore, we are the problem that they can't move forward. Nor should we stand by and watch companies put the blame of the problem that resides within the Google system onto SEOs just because there's no formal announcement from Google that they are broken. Such a public announcement might stop companies from dumping on SEOs in particular or SEO in general. Either way, Google will need to fix the mess they made because they're going to pay for it one way or the other. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to do the survey. And again, I also want to remind you, you can send in any of your questions, any of your comments to confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com. Please subscribe to Confessions wherever you're listening. It's on Audible, Spotify, Amazon, Alexa. If you haven't settled on one source for your podcasts, you can just Google Confessions of an SEO. You can't miss it. So please let your friends know all of us stand to make more money and success together when both the SEOs and the business owners understand each other better. It's been my pleasure to be your host. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the service.